And actually, I'm going to call on Patrick Redmond. Are you there?
I believe I am here.
Oh, awesome. I love how that works. Would you like to open with our initial announcement that we have not sent out yet?
Yes, I have discussed this with Director Patrick as of later yesterday, and due to some of the issues that we're seeing in the portal and the feedback that we've been receiving, we are going to be extending the opening date for our challenge process to March 15th right now. We hope that this will give enough time for our consultant Vetro's engineering team to handle our suggestions to them and be able to implement them into the portal and reduce the number of limitations we're seeing in the portal right now. So you might see a couple bugs or a couple issues during today's training session, but just know that we are working with our consultant to fix those. And if there's anything else that we don't highlight or we don't see that you might see, just please let us know and we can add that to the pile.
Well put. So with that, I'm going to share my screen to kind of show you where see where you should be going to kind of get the most updated information from us. So this page, it's under our challenge section for providers. Today's training is listed here. I think, moving this out, we're going to probably be able to offer a few more trainings as well. If you have not already acquired your NTIA Tier D license to be able to either submit challenges or to rebut them, I suggest you do that within the next couple of weeks. Also, if you have provided us a point of contact, a couple of you have given us 2 points of contact, since we may be reaching back out. One of those limitations is that we have to have a primary point of contact, so we'll need to designate which one is that primary. So just know that will be in your inbox yet again. So these are kind of where you're going to find the instructions on how to submit a challenge, and we're going to walk through that here in a minute. But I also want you to know, if you scroll to the very bottom of this, these are, I have listed just who we have as registered providers. We may have your point of contact if you do not see your name in this list, and I will say this list may be a day old. So, and we get CostQuest licenses updated about once a week. So that's another thing we're kind of working through. We have to match up your CostQuest license with our registrations. That's information we have to provide to NTIA at the end of this. So we have to make sure that everything matches up, that we're doing our due diligence to let you into the portal to see that data. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but we are trying just to do our part to make sure that. So if you don't see your name on this list, look to see if you have an email from me or Trevi, for that matter. It might have come from Trevi, my outreach coordinator. And just follow up with us of what we need to do to get that. We have seen in certain cases that CostQuest is they're providing us with outdated numbers. So we're just trying to work through some of those challenges. Hopefully we get those done by the 15th. Again, if you, it is a NTIA Tier D license that you need to get into the portal. If you have a tier of a tier 2 or something, that is not sufficient. You actually have to get the specific NTIA Tier D license. So I think there's been some confusion on our end, as well as why people can't get in. So with that, I'll go back up to the top here. How to submit a single location challenge. And I will, after I walk through this a little bit, please, and if you have questions in the meantime, put them in the chat. Trevi is going to be monitoring that for me, or raise your hand or just interrupt. I'm okay with it all. So I'll walk through this, and then we'll open up for questions as well. So we'll just click on the link. You'll get this link in your email when you get provisioned. I'm going to log in. And I'm going to log in again. I don't know why. Come on. All right. Takes a minute for it to populate the map. If you notice an accuracy and availability, please select one or more location. So you can get a quick tour here. Skip that for now. So this is where we would, this box here is where you can enter an address. And you will see it does pop up available locations. This is the level that it zooms into. You can click on that BSL. That is that layer of the map, the BSL map. It will bring up all the information available for that location. Here's where you're going to choose what type of challenge you would like to launch. Say availability. You can, this is where they will name a provider. And you can see here that Allo and Windstream are available. One would hope, and these are all good for you guys to know, that you would hope that they would select a provider. There, it is possible for them to pick anybody on here. This is what determines who gets notified. So should they select the wrong company, we will be publishing these to our website on a weekly basis. So you can also check there, and we do encourage you to check our website. That'll be on the challenge results page. It'll be a downloadable file, like an Excel spreadsheet that you can download and sort. You'll also be able to go over here. You'll be able to see on the map when challenges come in, there'll be dots on the map. So you can check your area that you service to see if there's any challenges in your service area. Technology unit is really for like a apartment number. For availability, there's all these different reasons. Advertise speed, we're working to get some language on here. These fields tend to be kicking out a lot for failed submissions. So it is just a number. No numbers, no hyphens. And then it does require an evidence field that you have to upload an evidence. You have to upload an evidence file. The challenge explanation, you can put anything you want in here. We are asking for both challenges and rebuttals that people make the strongest case they possibly can. So make sure your evidence supports what you're asking. I will say on the evidence files, one of the things we're asking for is that you can upload more than one evidence file. That is one of the big things right now. It is only allowing one file with a 20 megabyte limit. And finally, there's a checkbox here. You have to check that the consumer has been advised that this any information they share can be shared with our office, our contractors, and service providers. So you guys will actually have the ability in the rebuttal to see what evidence is available, or what evidence was filed in that challenge, so you can rebut it directly. And I hit the submit button, and it takes a while. So then you get the pop-up. It says, and if you refresh that window after you close this, it shall refresh. Maybe, there we go. And now you can see that dot. So that is now, that blue dot shows a challenge. By the same token, when you go to this map and you want to see what challenges have been made on your behalf, you can just go down. Whoops. Oh, that's in the rebuttal portal. I'm sorry. On the rebuttal side, and I think we'll do a separate training on rebuttals unless we want to walk through that today if we have time. There will be a list of every provider, and you just select you'll select your ISP, and it'll just highlight your dots on your challenges on that map. As you can see, we have the different types of, the legend shows the different types of locations by definition, by speed. The greens are all BEAD ineligible. Orange yellow is underserved, and the pinkish is the unserved. I will say the BEAD ineligible, it may be underserved, but those are enforceable commitments or planned service. That is accounting for those as being green and ineligible. Any questions so far? See. We'll go. You can also zoom in on the map. You don't have to do the search by an address. You can go to your service area. You can select it just by selecting that dot. It's the same type of information. The information on the left-hand side will be customized by the type of challenge you're mounting. Basically, it's the same. You have to name a provider. I think technology is required on everything, and that is because of the area challenges, which I'll go to next. So one thing you'll notice on our map is we have activated these Nebraska census block groups. You can turn them on, you can turn them off. If you're going to do an area challenge, you can do a multiple select. I think you can collect, I think you can do, maybe. Yes. I think you can add, yep, it goes one of two here. So you can control click more addresses. 3, 1 of 4. You can do it that way. You can select addresses individual. Well, you can as one challenge, one submission, or you can use the lasso tool to say, I want these. And you'll see it will highlight the census block. And the reason the census block group is important is, so the lasso tool does have a limit of 50 locations. You cannot select more than 50. If you do, you'll get a pop-up says maximum number of 50 selected features exceeded. So clear. Go back to selecting those. The area challenges per our IPv1 dictate that they have to be, an area challenge has to be within one census block. Now, one of the issues we're facing is it will allow you to cross census blocks, and that will show you it's highlighted to, but that is not a valid challenge. A valid challenge must stay within one census block. Once a challenge of a 6 or more addresses, locations in a census block group are challenged, it activates the entire census block. So that means, as in rebuttal, you'll need to reply to all, you'll have to provide sufficient evidence regarding the entire census block. And I think that's, Patrick, you might be able to speak a little clearer. I'm forgetting too many details in my head right now, but I believe it's different by what type of challenge that is, of what evidence, and
Yes.
the threshold for evidence on those things.
Yes, one thing we'd like to point out, another limitation of the challenge, obviously, that we've seen so far is the file uploads. There's a limit to how many files you can upload. Now, what you can do is you can combine them or zip them, and then you have all the files you need in a nice little zip folder. But what Rachel's kind of getting at here is if you were to circle all those different locations and then you would do a, let's just say, speed challenge or availability challenge, and you provided information for just one, then just that one location that you provided the information for would be, moving on to the next step. But anything that you didn't provide information for would be rejected on technicality. So you just want to be aware that the information you're providing is applicable to all those locations. Now, if you were to provide a challenge for something like an enforceable commitment, where you're saying, hey, I've got a grant program at this location for these different BSLs, these should be represented as underserved or unserved BEAD eligible enforcement, or something like that. Then you could just upload that grant agreement that outlines those locations. Just be one file, that'd be okay. You just have to be aware of what you're challenging and what evidence you want to be putting forth there as well. And Rachel, are you going to touch on how to trigger an area challenge here with those 6 locations?
Well, yes. So there's multiple ways you can trigger that area challenge. One is circling 6 or more locations. It can also get triggered by 6 individual locations, 6 separate challenges to the same census block group. They do have to be the same type of challenge here. So they all have to be availability. They all have to be speed. They all have to be the same challenge type. They all have to be by the same provider, and they all have to be using the same technology. If we get 6 or more locations, whether it's an area like a lassoed, one submission with evidence that supports all 6 of those, or 6 individual submissions. When we have 6 locations with sufficient evidence to those 3 types, that would trigger an area challenge. Does that cover that, Patrick?
Yes, I want to make sure that everyone's aware of kind of what goes into that. That triggers an area challenge for the whole census block group, right? So if we have an advocate out there that challenges 6 different locations in here, or if you yourselves challenge 6 different locations in here, just know that as long as it's the same provider, same technology, same type of challenge, you are going to trigger an area challenge for every single BSL in there. Now, when we go through the rebuttal process and you see, okay, I've got 6 locations in here, and then we also notify you of the area challenge, or you see the area challenge in there, then you don't necessarily have to respond to all of them, because if you only serve, for example, I can't see what city that is, that's our town that's down there, but if you only serve that town, Greeley Center, and there's obviously been 6 or more challenges in there, you're going to get an area challenge triggered. You don't have to respond to every different BSL that is throughout the census block group. If a BSL is not responded to, we will be sustaining the challenge that is out there. So you don't have to worry about that. You just need to respond to the ones that you would like to rebut, the challenges that you'd like to rebut. So that's just another thing that I want to point out there.
Thank you. I also think it's noteworthy that a census block group could get multiple. It could be activated for a speed. It could be activated for. I mean, you could have multiple area challenges for different what am I trying to say? For different challenge types. Was there a question?
I don't think so, but I just do want to point out, this is another reason why you want to pay attention to our website and what we're posting as we update the challenges, just to make sure that you're up to date with everything. If we will be sending out official emails, obviously generated emails, and that'll start the clock for rebutting. But if you don't get that, because for whatever reason we don't have your contact information or anything along those lines, we will be posting those on our website, and that will count as our official update. So just make sure you keep on paying attention, make sure you're up to date with everything that we're putting out there. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, attend the town halls. We want to do our best to be able to reach out to you, but we cannot guarantee that in every single scenario, you're going to get 15 different emails from us letting you know that you've been challenged.
Dayton.
I just had a quick question. So we've gone over how to do single location challenges, and we've gone over how to do area challenges with the lasso tool. Is it possible to upload like an Excel list of loc IDs? I know in other states, Kansas, for example, I had a list of 94 different locations that were all availability challenges, and I was able to just upload a loc ID list, and it auto-populated on the map those points, and then I could do the challenge for all 94 at once. Is that possible through the Nebraska Challenge Portal?
So, Hayden, to answer your question, we've been aware of that need, and we've had conversations with a variety of different stakeholders about that need. Pretty much to that exact example. Obviously, not necessarily from you, but from other ISPs as well. That is a limitation that we have in our portal. We've discussed that with the engineering team at Vetro, and it doesn't seem possible at this moment in time. So, unfortunately, the answer has to be no to bulk challenges of that type. Our workaround for that is this kind of area challenge. It will reduce your burden from rather having to, if you wanted to just drop an Excel spreadsheet for the census block group, rather than having to otherwise challenge every single BSL in here, you only have to challenge 6. I know it's not a perfect solution, but it is how we're going to be able to work around that.
I guess, would you mind explaining how that's a workaround? So
Dayton, if one of the two options would be you have to respond to each individual location, or you have to challenge each individual location to be able to do a bulk challenge for that area if we don't allow for bulk challenges, which we don't. So what we're doing for an area challenge is rather than having to respond to each individual location, you only have to, or rather than having to challenge each individual location, let me make sure my words are correct. You just have to challenge 6 in that census block group. Now, again, I do understand that in some areas, census block groups aren't nearly as geographically wide as they are as what we're looking at here if you take a look at Lake Lincoln or Omaha. But it at least will reduce your burden a little bit. Again, we have limitations within the platform that prevent us from being able to upload just Excel spreadsheets or anything like that. And we're doing our best to make sure that any other limitations are handled as we see them. That's just something that we've had a conversation about, and there's no movement from our firm that we're working with.
okay, thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, no problem.
At this point, I think, it's open if, is there anything else I can show you on this, on the challenge portal that you'd like to see, or other questions we can address?
Hey, Rachel, this is Ted DeTurk at ESU2.
Yes.
Just knowing my limitations, will this be, are these recorded, and do I have access to these instructions then at a later date?
So yes, these instructions are available on our website at the challenge and providers. So
Okay.
we try to do screenshots of how to walk through doing challenges. We will provide the same level of detail for rebuttals as well. We are working to put kind of a marketing toolkit out there for our advocates. That will probably go out through our distribution list, so you'll get those as well. Where we're going to, we'll put all this stuff in a packet. You'll have that available as well to you, all these instructions.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That'll go out through our distribution list, so everybody will get it. Josh, I think you had a question. Joshua?
Yeah, this is going to just kind of show a little bit of my ignorance on this topic. So for the registration, we're required to provide an SAC number with the FCC, but I'm new at all this. So to my understanding, an SAC number is only for ILECs. We don't function as an ILEC anywhere. We only function as a CLEC, so we can't have an SAC number. I might be wrong there. Again, I'm kind of getting thrown into this new, so it's I'm not up to speed on all the details of all the acronyms from the FCC. We do have like the D-tier license and all that, but I just, for that registration, I can't provide that number because as far as I know, we don't have one.
Can you send me an email specifically outlining that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if anybody else here on the call, I'll be the first one to say, I am not an expert in the FCC numbers. I just know, what data we have to report at the end.
Right, understand.
And I don't know if I don't know that I want to become an expert in this, but if I know there's been questions from some of the others, most of them have been provided. I don't know if anybody else here on the call can help Joshua with that, or if they can share that they think that's a true statement, that he is correct, that they don't have an SAC number for that.
How up to date is this map, and does it include the Nebraska Bridge 3 grants?
So I believe this is the latest FCC version of the fabric that is feeding this. I think it's the latest one. I don't know if that's version 3 or 4. The broadband bridge grants. Patrick, can you speak to that at all?
I believe the grants that were announced in January should be incorporated into this map, yes.
Okay, great.
And there are other updates coming to this as well, Patrick,
Yes,
after this challenge.
if you'd like me, I can speak to that a little bit.
Yes.
So we are aware that the PSC is putting out or announcing more grants coming in June. So our plan is to make sure that we incorporate any of those updates into the packet that we're going to be sending out to NTIA at the conclusion of this process. And we've also been made aware that there's other federal programs that are going to be awarded later on in the year. And we've asked NTIA kind of how they want us to conduct ourselves with that, considering the fact that we would like us to have a locked map at the end of this process. I think everyone would pretty much prefer that. And they've told us that there may or may not be an additional opportunity to update figures on the map following those awards. So please still continue to participate in those programs. We'll do our best to represent that with the BEAD process. It's just gonna be a little tight towards the end of the year because our goal is still to begin allocating dollars towards this program and making awards by the end of the year as we run through our LOI, RFA, and granting process. So there's still moving parts, and we're doing our best to keep up to date with what is going on. And we will have a locked map by the time that we begin actually posting our DPAs and requiring people to submit letters of intent and RFAs. So it's just going to be a little difficult to keep all those balls in the air without dropping one.
So I can show you the rebuttal phase portal too. Continue if you have questions, please raise your hand, put them in the chat.
Quickly, there is one question in the chat.
Okay.
From Jared, when will the unserved and underserved CAI list be finalized and made public?
So we currently do have some posted on the website. I can reach out to our mapping team and make sure that we get our most up-to-date ones prior to the challenge process being released, if that would be helpful.
I just want to know when they're final, because as soon as they're final and ready to go, we're gonna do what we do on those.
So they will be final and ready to go at the conclusion of. My understanding is they'll be final and ready to go at the conclusion of this challenge process, and once we have all of the relevant grant programs accounted for, we'll make an announcement surrounding that.
Thank you, Patrick. So I'll take you through a little bit of the rebuttal phase portal. So on our page, how to submit a rebuttal, there's a link to the page. You will also get these when you get notified of a challenge that somebody has challenged your company, challenged their location. You'll get this link will be in that notification. But if you are looking at it on our map or on our website, and you find that your area has been challenged, maybe you weren't named by accident, you can go here, and it is the same credentials to get into the rebuttal portal. They are separate portals. The challenge portal is different than the rebuttal portal. And I do believe only ISPs will be provisioned to get into the rebuttal portal. All of our tests got cleared out. So I think we just have this one now. So you'll see challenges here, but what you can do is you'll deselect all of them and you'll go down to the one that got named, and that'll pull it up. And the challenge, this is the unique challenge that was assigned to it. This is the address, this is the location information, the BSL. So you can check on the challenge. It brings up, it populates all of this information over here regarding the challenge that was filed. Here you can see that was the file. You can click on it. It will download so you can look at what evidence they provided. You can see it's an availability challenge, the provider that was challenged, what type of technology. So this can inform how you rebut that challenge. Like I said, it will, if assuming you have multiple challenges, you'll be able to see all the dots for your particular company. You can say, you can expedite this on our behalf. We wouldn't mind that. You could just say, I agree, we don't actually service that. And say, we don't service that location. And
You will still need to upload a file, yeah.
I have to upload a file again. Thank you. As it told me. One issue I will tell you for both sides, if it's not the response file, particularly in the challenge portal, it does not tell you it does not flag which field is causing the failed submission. So thank you. This is also where we will be notifying you. It sounds like it's going to be a manual process to notify you that an area challenge has been mounted. But you would just select on one of those locations and submit your proper evidence. I'm disputing, and you would submit the evidence you needed to dispute that. The rebuttal portal is something we're working a little more through. So you can see the challenge here. This is where you can see the evidence submitted on the challenge. I'm assuming you guys would like to know, hey, other than generally where that's at on the map, what's the actual address? That you have to go to the Nebraska BSL, and then that will give you address primary if you need to refer to your documentation of. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, Joshua.
I might have missed it earlier. The version, do you guys publish or keep track of like what version of the fabric or that you're currently using on this? Is it always going to be the most current, or like, because an example would be specifically in Lincoln over on the east side of town for an apartment complex, there was a fabric ID that was associated with an apartment building that we didn't serve, that is now associated with a completely different business on a completely different parcel. And so we conceded that we couldn't serve it previously, and now like the same ID is at a different place that we do. Not that it would be super relevant to this, but just like in case we're trying to like kind of look at what you have compared to what we're maintaining. Yeah, do you guys publish or keep trackers or somewhere we can reference like what version of the fabric you're using to build this?
We typically will be updating to the most recent version of the fabric. Obviously, like I said earlier, once our map is frozen, it's frozen for the purposes of the grant program, right?
Right.
And we will obviously unfreeze it as the grant program develops and more information is conducted.
Perfect.
But at this moment in time, what we're operating off of is the most recent version of the fabric that's been released, and we will update that. Now, we would ask for just a little bit of lag time as
Oh, yeah.
our, data scientists work through
Yep.
all the information. It's not going to be
Yeah, for
updated
sure.
in real
Yeah.
time, but it'll be pretty quick after that, whenever they release it. So I imagine when they have that
Yeah.
June release that comes out,
Yeah.
we'll be updated to that. And that'll probably be the
Okay.
final one, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly reasonable. I just want to make sure, like I said, because it's not a big one relevant to this, but it's like I can see that being an issue potentially other places and causing some confusion around
Oh,
things.
for
so.
sure, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't benefit anyone to have really outdated information public.
Yeah.
So
And, and I'm going to say our, I don't know when the last time you went in and looked at our map versus the FCC map, Joshua, but we have updated ours in the last month or two.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
minute, so yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. What else would be helpful for you guys to see in either of this? Todd?
Export functionality for an ISP to, export all the relevant data associated with any challenges that were submitted? Or do we have to click on every dot?
Well, that's where I think the area challenge or the census block groups will come in. I do not believe that there is an export function.
yeah, it's a limitation of the platform. We've been asking for that for I don't know how long, but it's just something that the contractor Vitro that we're working with just doesn't do.
Okay.
Yeah, I share the frustration.
I will say, actually, Todd, if you go to when you go to our website, when we publish those, it won't have all the details that you would see when you go to this dot. But when we publish what challenges have been mounted, it will be an Excel sheet, and you will be able to sort that by your company name.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask this is Dayton from Charter. Can I ask a follow-up question on the area challenges? So I understand how the area challenges work if you are saying that a provider isn't offering the speeds that they claim they are, and you put in the relevant information for 6 and it challenges the whole census block. How does that work for the flip side, where a provider is saying these 6 locations are identified as eligible under BEAD, but we want to claim that we do serve them and show you, screenshot evidence on our website and all that kind of stuff? Is there a similar area challenge function?
Yes.
Will it automatically do that same challenge for the census block, or
Yep.
How does that work?
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. It does it for every challenge in either way. So if you're saying that we actually do serve all of these, it's going to trigger it for every single one in that census block group. So
Even if we only serve like 15 of the locations in the census block?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to turn if they provide us evidence. You say you circle 6 and you provide evidence that show you served 15. It's not going to turn the entire census block green, I think is what he's saying, Patrick.
It's going to challenge all of them. We have to adjudicate still.
Them, but you will have to support.
Yeah.
Which ones you will have to support with evidence, which ones you do or do not serve.
Yeah. So if you were to lasso 6 or 15 or however many that you wanted to, and you uploaded the information for the 15 and you only lassoed 6, then when we adjudicate, we go through and take a look at that information that you have uploaded. And if it doesn't pertain to like variety of locations that are out in rural areas, then we will not sustain that challenge. But for those 15, we will sustain it. If that's
okay. So in practice, what we need to do is lasso 6 locations in the census block, upload all the information for the relevant locations in that census block.
Right.
And then it will challenge all of them, and then the burden will actually be on you guys to look at the evidence and say, not all of them in the census block, but these 15, these 30.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rachel is smiling because yes, the burden will be on us to do that. So that is where we come in and we get to earn our pay.
Yeah. So like if you say like here, I just lassoed this little group. If you service outside of that what you lassoed and you provide us, it activates an area challenge for that census block group. and you provide us the evidence of the which ones all of them that you service, we will, yes, we will look at those as, we'll look at the evidence of which ones you service. Say you don't service these down here, they're not going to be affected by what information, by what you lassoed or what you did or did not provide. It only the evidence that you provide will get upheld. Does that make sense?
It does, thank you, yeah.
It will make it easier somewhat for our advocates to know that they don't have to go in and challenge every single location inside the census block. And hopefully it'll make it easier for you guys that, even though we can't do bulk challenges, you can just circle 6 and submit evidence for everything you have in that area, in that census block group. Any other questions? Comments, feedback? Okay, well, I really do appreciate everybody here and your participation. Please, if you have anything else, please reach out to myself, Trevi, the NDOT broadband office. Email is also available.
Rachel, we did get a question before
sorry.
we continue up. It's from Tip. It's how do you adjudicate fixed wireless or wireless challenges?
Similar way that they are going to have to demonstrate which locations they can and cannot serve. We are kind of still working through. We have a contractor that's helping us work through some of the technical pieces of that. Patrick, I don't know if you want to speak a little more to that technicality of what we're asking fixed wirelesses to provide. I mean, they're going to have to show evidence like everybody else of the service that they're actually providing.
Right. And when we're talking about how we're going to adjudicate fixed wireless, I mean, my advice to ISPs who are concerned about fixed wireless or how we're going to be approaching that is the following. Basically, please submit the information that you believe is going to be the strongest to be able to reject that, whatever that challenge is, assuming that we're talking from the rebuttal standpoint. Same thing for the challenge standpoint, but it's a little bit more, I would say, strenuous on the rebuttal side because you only get one shot at rebutting. If you submit a challenge and it's not, if it's incorrectly submitted on a technicality or something like that, we will reject it and let you know, hey, this has been rejected due to this technicality. We encourage you to resubmit a challenge. However, if it's a rebuttal and you're not submitting proper amounts of information, we have this outlined on our website, then that challenge will just get sustained at that point, rather than rejected. So please insert and upload the information that you think is going to best demonstrate your stance, and make sure that you upload information that can be, logically upheld. So whatever that means to you in that sense, I would encourage you to do that. That makes sense.
Patrick.
Because we've gotten a couple different, I don't really want to talk about examples necessarily speaking outside of what's on our website right now. Just because we've gotten a bunch of different suggestions as to what ISPs can and cannot do.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Like I said, I hope, given the extra time, that we'll be able to provide more training. If you have questions or any other feedback on this platform, please reach out to us, share it with us. We want this to work well for everybody involved. That is our goal. We want this to be a smooth process, as smooth as possible. So thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you, everyone.